Okay, so we are looking at relations today. So go ahead and let's go ahead and do 3.1 in the top right corner. So let's do 3.1 so you know it's, guys. So 3.1 in the top right corner. That way you know it's Unit 3, Section 1. So that way you know which notes are from Unit 3. That might be a little easier. Like I said before, I am checking these notes. There's only going to be a couple notes for Unit 3. It's a pretty short unit. So there's only going to be about 4 sections. So your goal, what you need to do is you need to keep track of these 4 somehow in a folder. Keep them in there. I don't care. Somehow keep track. And I will check Unit 3 notes probably when we do a study guide day next week. So easy 10 points. Just keep the notes. If you're absent, you can get on Google Classroom and get the notes down. So this is Unit 3, Section 1, so you know which ones are Unit 3. That will be helpful. Okay, so 3.1, Unit 3, Section 1. We are talking about relations, and like I've said, the nice thing about this is it's not a ton of math. It's just kind of knowing what things mean. So when I talk about a relation, it is just a set of ordered pairs. And we kind of worked with ordered pairs on the warm-ups. Ordered pair is x comma y. So that's when I refer to ordered pairs, I'm meaning x comma y. Think about a relationship. A relationship is between 2 people. So when I talk about a relation, it's how 2 things are related. How is x related to y? So technically a relation can be anything, any 2 things related, but for this class we're specifically going to talk about ordered pair. How is x related to y? Okay, so that's all a relation is a set of ordered pairs, x, y. When I say a set, it's just a list. Okay, you're just listing ordered pairs. Okay, here's one definition you need to know. The set of all x values is called the domain. You need to have that memorized. Now, I'm not going to specifically ask you, but you need to be able to say, okay, if I ask for the domain, I want you to tell me the x values. The x values is called the domains. The set of all the y values is called the range. The way I remember, it is alphabetical order. X comes before y, domain comes before range. So it's in alphabetical order. So x is called the domain, y is called the range. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at a couple of these. We are representing relations. There are 4 ways to represent a relation. An ordered pair, actually there's more, but for right now we're going to talk about 4 ways. Ordered pairs, table, mapping, and then a graph. Okay? So if I look at this is a set of ordered pairs. It is a list of ordered pairs. If I want the domain, my domain are my what values? Okay? The domain are my x values. So we're going to just list. We're going to put fancy brackets because I'm listing things. I wouldn't count off if you didn't put those brackets, but I want you to at least have seen them. So I'm listing things, so I put fancy brackets, -3, -2, 1, 3. Do not repeat when you are listing my domain. I'm listing my x values. You do not put -3 twice. So I'm going through the x values. -3, -2, 1, 3. The -3 repeats. You don't put it more than once. So domain, I just list the x values. If I look for the range, that's the y values. You just list the y values. What are my y values going to be? 1, 0, 2, -4, and 5. So when I ask for the range, you just list, which means you put it in a fancy bracket. That's called a set. You just list the y values. 1, 0, 2, -4, 5. Nope, you don't repeat it when you write it as a set. Now would I count off? Probably not, but you don't ever put it more than once. Okay, so that's how, if I just ask for domain and range, I just want the x and the y values. Next thing, we're going to look at a table. So a table just lists the ordered pairs. So all you do is you go through and list the ordered pairs. -3, 1, -2, 0, 1, 2, 3, -4, -3, 5. All you do is you go through and list the ordered pairs. I'm listing specific ordered pairs, so you will see -3 twice because there are 2 specific ordered pairs. Like I said, not necessarily super hard math-wise, just kind of know what things mean. Okay, next one is a mapping. A mapping is kind of like a table, except we're going to have arrows. So if I'm looking for a mapping, I'm going to put one oval is going to be the domain, usually the left one, and then one oval is going to be the range. You could also label it as X or Y. It doesn't really matter as long as you label it somehow. The left oval, domain, D. The right oval is the range, Y. And I'm just going to list the domain, and then I'm going to list the range, and then I'm going to draw arrows to the two that go together. So if I list the domain, my domain is -3, -2, 1, and 3. You don't repeat it with mapping. So -3, -2, 1, and 3. I list the domain. I list the range. What's the range?
1, 0, 2, -4, 5.
Okay, 1, 0, 2, -4, 5. And then I draw arrows to the two that go together. -3 goes with 1. That's the ordered pair. So the first ordered pair is -3, 1. So I draw an arrow. What's the next ordered pair?
-2, 0.
-2, 0. So I draw an arrow. Next one is 1, 2. So I draw an arrow. The next one is 3, -4. So I draw an arrow. Yep, and then the next one is -3, 5. So I'm going to have another arrow coming from -3 to 5. So if it repeats, you're just going to have two arrows coming from it. Like I said, not really anything super complicated. Just kind of know how to work with this. What does a mapping mean? Okay, a graph. If I look at a graph, you know how to graph. We're graphing ordered pairs. You've done this since middle school. So if I graph the first, how many points should I have on this graph? 5 points. My first point is what? How do I graph -3, 1?
Go 3 up 1.
Which way 1? Which way 3? Left 3, up 1. So -3, I go left 3, up 1. So there's 1 point. So you're just graphing points. -2, 0. How do I graph -2, 0? Left 2. And I don't go up any. My y value is 0, so I don't go up or down any. Yep, 1, 2, right 1, up 2. X value of 1, y value of 2. 3, -4, so right 3, down 4. And then -3, 5, so left 3, up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, don't connect the points. This is not a line. This is just 5 points, 5 ordered pairs. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, let's look at one more example of these. Let's look at the next one right underneath it. Okay, domain and range. So let's represent, if I have it represented as an ordered pair, or as a set, ordered pairs, let's list the domain. What is my domain? Let me draw some names out. People haven't done anything. What is my domain for this set? Ian? Do it. Yeah, domain is my x values. So what is tell me my x values. Yep. 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 2 and 5. So if I want the domain, all I do is I list the x values. So look at your 5 ordered pairs, list the x values. That's it. Guys.
Yes.
Okay, Shelby, what's my range going to be?
-3,
Okay.
4,
Okay.
-2,
Okay.
4, -1.
Yep, don't list 4 twice. So -3, 4, -2, and -1. Okay, any questions on domain and range? Table. If I make a table, what will my table look like? Isaac, what will my table look like?
-2.
Yep.
X, -1.
Okay,
Y, that's X. Alright.
you're good.
And then 0.
Okay,
And 2.
okay,
5.
okay. I don't care if you go from left to right or if you do all your x's first. That's fine. Make sure you get them in the right order. And then my y's would be what?
-3.
Yep,
4. -2. And -1.
yep. 4, -1. So I don't care if you do the X, list the X's and then list the Y's, just make sure the ordered pairs go together. So -2, -3, -1, 4, 0, -2, 2, 4. Okay, any questions on a table? Okay, a mapping. If I look at a mapping, explain how I would do this in a mapping. Preston? Before I start listing numbers, what do I have to do? Yep, domain and range. Make sure you label it. Make sure you have it labeled as domain and range, DNR. Now, what we're going to do, Preston? Okay. Okay. Okay, so put your domain, -2, -1, 0, 2, 5. My range, what numbers do I put in the range oval? Okay. 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 Don't repeat the 4s with the mapping. So you only have 1 4 in there. So -3, 4, -2, and 1. So don't repeat the 4s when you do a mapping. And then how do I tell which ordered pair, what my ordered pairs are? -2 to -3. Yep, -1 to 4. 0, -2. 2, -1. 5 and -1. Okay? So since 2 and 5 both go to -1, you're going to have those two arrows both go to -1.
Yeah, 2 doesn't go to negative.
2 goes to 4.
Oh, God.
Okay, 2 to 4. So draw an arrow to 4. 2 to 4. So you're going to have 2 arrows going to 4 from -1 and 2. Okay, any questions on a map? Okay, a graph. If I look at a graph, let's plot these ordered pairs. So if I plot this, Nick, how would I plot the ordered pair -2, -3?
Down to
Nick? -2, -3?
down to
You do X first. So which direction would I go to?
left 2.
You're good. Left 2 and then down 3. So -2, 3. -1, 4. I would go left 1 up 4. So -1, 4. I would go left 1 up 4. 0, -2. How would I graph 0, -2? Stay at 0, down 2. My X value is 0, so I don't go left or right any. 2, 4. Right 2, up 4. And then 5, -1. Right 5, down 1. Those are my 5 ordered pairs. Do not draw a line through them. It's just 5 ordered pairs, 5 points. Okay, any questions on any of this stuff? Okay, let's flip to the next page. We're not going to do all of these. Like I said, it looks like a lot of notes, but we're kind of skipping around and they don't take very long. Okay, so domain and range of continuous graphs. So now we're going to look at the domain and range of graphs. Are we done, or can I talk? Okay, well, you weren't because you were talking. But for the domain, we are going to scan the pencil left to right along the x-axis. So remember, domain is the x-axis, the x value. So to find the domain, I go from left to right. For the range is my y value. So I go from bottom to top along the y-axis. This will make more sense once we look at this. There's not really any work involved. You just have to know how to write it. Gerald, keep your head up, please. Thank you. Okay, so all we're going to do is we are going to put the domain and range. Now what's different is these are not just ordered point. These are not just ordered pairs. These are lines. These are graphs. So instead of just having a list of domain and a list of range, we're going to have more than 1 point or more than 5 points. We have lots of points on here. So if I look at number 1, to find the domain, use domain is my x value. So I start from left and I scan to the right. Now what do I notice on the ends of these, on this graph? What do I notice here on the ends? Arrows. What do the arrows mean?
Infinity.
They go from left to right and they never stop. So if I look at scanning from left to right, do I have a specific starting point on the left? No. Do I have a specific ending point on the right? No, it keeps on going. So my domain is, yeah, you could do it like that, or you can also put just all reals. Yep. So all reals, that means that I don't have a starting point on the left and I don't have an ending point on the right. It goes to infinity on the left and infinity on the right. These arrows mean that they're never going to stop. So domain, you go from left to right. My range, I want the y values. So start from bottom and go up because I'm talking about the y value. So I start at the bottom and I go up. What is the smallest y value I have? Take your pencil. We're starting at the bottom and working up. What is the smallest y value I have? -2. If I start at the bottom and I start scanning up, I start at -2. Now every y value after that is what compared to -2? So if I start at -2 and I scan my pencil up, I notice I have those arrows. So that means it's going to keep on going what? Forever. So all my y values are what compared to -2? No? All my y values are what? If that's the lowest point I can have, all my y values, guys in the front, pay attention please. All the y values are what compared to -2? Bigger. So y is greater than or equal to -2. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, let's look at another one. Let's look at number 5. Let's skip to number 5. Let's look at 5. If I look at 5, okay, the domain, I go from left to right. So if I go from left to right, we're looking at my domain from left to right. So if I look at left, what value do I start at? -1. And what value do I end at? So I scan from left, I start at -1. What value do I end at on the x-axis? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I go from -1 to -5, and we're going to put an x in the middle. Okay, my x values are what compared to -1?
Also -5.
Huh? Because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not -5. Positive 5, sorry. So x is what compared to -1? Greater than or equal to. Okay, because it's every value greater than -1. And my x values are what compared to 5? Less than or equal to. So that's how you're going to label it. Start from the left, go to the right. My x values are greater than -1, but less than 5. They're in between -1 and 5. Any questions on that? Let's look at the range. If I look at the range is y value. So I start from the bottom and I work my way to the top. As I start at the bottom, what is the lowest y value I'll have? What is my starting value as I start from the bottom? -3. So I start at -3 and I go up to, so take your pencil, I start from the bottom, I work my way up, I go up to what? 3. 1, 2, 3. So I go up to 3. So take your pencil, I'm scanning it from the bottom to the top. So I start at -3 and I go all the way up to a +3. Put y in the middle. My y values are greater than or equal to -3 or less than or equal to 3 because my y values are between -3 and 3.
So are your arrows always going to be this direction?
Yeah, your arrows will always be this direction because they'll be greater than the lowest number and less than the highest number. Yeah,
That's what I thought.
No.
But I was like,
you're good. Okay, let's flip to the next page. Let's look at a couple more. Let's look at 7. So there's not a lot of work involved. You just kind of have to know how to read the graph. Okay, domain. Domain I scan from what to what? Left to right. So if I start at the left and I scan to the right, I notice I have what on the ends? Arrows. So do I have a specific starting point on the left? No. Do I have a specific ending point on the right? No. So my answer is all reals. If you notice arrows, that means they keep on going, so I'm not going to have a specific starting or ending point, so it's all reals. All real numbers, all real whatever, that's fine. Now your y values. Are my y values going to be all reals? Let's look. If I start at the bottom, my range is from the bottom to the top. As I start at the bottom and scan, my lowest value is what? -3. So I'm scanning from bottom to top. So that's -3 up to, what's the highest value? Highest y value? 2. So my y value is greater than or equal to -3 because it's above -3, but it's less than or equal to 2.
These are really weird.
They are kind of weird. It takes a little bit of work, but okay. Let's look at 10. Actually, let's look at 9. Let's look at 9. My domain. First of all, I notice this is a vertical line up and down. What is my domain? I scan from left to right.
Nothing.
It's something. What's my only x value?
2.
2. X is always 2. It's a vertical line, so x is always 2. No matter what point you choose on here, my x value will always be 2. What's my range? Start from the bottom, go up.
I have a question.
Yes.
How is X always this?
Look, if I look here, any point I pick on here, x will always be 2. 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3. Because it's a vertical line, it doesn't go any left or right of 2. Does that make sense? Okay. The range, start from the bottom, go up. Do I have a specific starting point on the bottom? No, because I see arrows. Do I have a specific ending point on the top? No, so my range is all reals. So not a lot of work, you just kind of have to get practice working with that. Okay? Any questions on that? Yes. 1 second, let me get started. Okay, so here's the homework. You can go ahead and do the